So again, very good morning, everyone. So now we are going to start our session on N-vivo, the little introduction to the world of qualitative research, which will empower you or give you wings in the qualitative world. So I'm Manoj Samarathunga from the Faculty of Management Studies, Department of Tourism and Hospitality Management, Praja University of Sri Lanka. So today we are going to talk about the N-vivo workspace and like making ourselves familiar with the N-vivo and importing data sources, content analysis and thematic analysis, how to do it in the N-vivo with the N-vivo, and maybe if time permits a little bit about the audio, video and image analysis. So remember, this is going to be a kind of a 1.5 hours to a 2-hour session. And we will not have sufficient time to explore the deep insights of the N-vivo and to do the analysis with a real data set, but I will just introduce the software to you, and the full course, program for the N-vivo learning will take minimum 12 hours, right? So maybe at a later date, we can meet and do that 2 days session. And we can also do the literature review with the N-vivo, right? We can have a quick look at it and the review and N-vivo project. So these are the main things I'm going to share with you today. So the first thing first, the introducing the N-vivo software and setting up a project. Well, let's remember that the what is the need of a software to conduct a qualitative research, right? You know, even during my PhD journey, we were given separate offices and we were given all the number of books and all the journals in the world and all the papers and everything. And we used to, sometimes at the very beginning, we used to get the things print out, right? And left them all over our workstations and the desks, right? So, okay, over the time, we identified that it's exhausting thing to handle all these paper-based works. And in the meantime, we were introduced by this N-vivo software was introduced to us by another senior professor from the Auckland University of Technology, and then we all were inspired by that. So from that moment, we started converting all our data into this, or uploading all our data into the software, including all our questionnaires, literature, journal articles, and the books, and say that data, audios, videos, images, and everything. So over the time, like maybe 1 week later, 2 weeks later, we found our desks to be, it's almost empty. We didn't have anything except our coffee mugs. We didn't have anything. Because why? The software absorbed all our data that enabled us to work fast, work efficiently and effectively, right? And I'm so happy to say that then we were able to, to do our works fast, right? And the data were at our hand. And place yourself at a position where you were drowned with like thousands of research articles, and sometimes you find it difficult to find where it is, where you are this article, where it is placed. You might have misplaced it, right? But with the N-vivo, well, it is at your fingertip, right? Fingertip, and access to the articles, books, and even certain small fragments or the content of the books are really super easy, because the N-vivo software has the capacity to manage like pages or the books that has like thousands of pages. That wonderful capacity is also there. So you technically you don't need to read the entire book, right, to go for a particular page or particular definition or particular fact. But I do not recommend that for the amateur researchers. Please follow the conventional way. Please read the entire journal articles. Please read the entire books. But those options are, which I mentioned earlier, are also available with the N-vivo software. So it helps to organize your data, and it helps to search, organize, categorize, and interpret the textual and the visual data. And it helps you to visualize the relationship among the data, right? And it is not only the N-vivo software that we have. We have the N-vivo, we have the Leximancer software, a web-based software. We have the ROST, we have the FSQA, QCA, the fuzzy sets, qualitative comparative analysis software as well. Some more softwares that you can see in this screen: Quick Course, TLab, right? Transana, WebQDA, Where, right? MaxQDA, Atlas TI. I know some of our colleagues are very familiar with some of the other softwares, but out of all, the N-vivo tops them all. Because why? Right? It has a very strong coding function, coding ability that allows you to analyze the small phrases of the interview transcripts, right? And to compare what what George said from Michael. You can do that, right? And you can compare the codes, right? Because we do the qualitative analysis by developing the codes. You can do that as well. So N-vivo, however, remember that this is a kind of a disclaimer. The N-vivo will not do the analysis for you. You have to do the analysis by yourself, right? And the N-vivo will help the researcher to do the analysis. N-vivo එක ඔගොල්ලෝ වෙනුවෙන් analyze කරන්නේ. It will carry out the function. It is not based on the artificial intelligence. That is important because you have to, this is your research and you have to look into the research and you have to make the relationships and you have to interpret it. You have to do the interpretations, right? So it will increase your analytical capacity by through its wonderful features, which we are going to discuss. And according to Scopus, the N-vivo has got 157% of citations, more than any other qualitative data analysis software in the world. And it is the only software with 3 million users across the globe available in 28 languages for transcriptions. Right, 2000. This is 2018 data, right? I'm sure we have reached like 5 million users by now. So why N-vivo again, right? It allows you to classify, sort, and arrange many types of non-numerical data, such as field notes, videos, audios, recordings, Word documents, etc. And it helps to examine the relationship between the data, and it provides an organized storage file system. It is totally up to you. You can put the journal articles into one folder, one category, books into another folder, videos into another folder, audios into another folder, etc. So it is very much organized. You can do the naming, renaming, and coding, uncoding, everything within the software, right? And it helps to analyze your data to determine the relationships, the themes. And you can visualize your project and draw models and the charts using the N-vivo software. And if time permits, we can move into that models and the charts as well, right? And importantly, it will keep the researcher closer to the data because we know what we have stored in our software, where the interview transcriptions are, where the literature are, and what has been coded, what has not been coded, what have been read even, you can identify with the use of the software, right? And now we come to some of the key terms in N-vivo software, right? Number one is the sources. Sources are the data sources that we use in the qualitative research, right? In the software, right? They could be any of the inputs, including the documents, the PDFs, data sets, audio, video, pictures, etc. Right? There's no limitation into the data sets, right? Say you are going to do a study about the statues in Sri Lanka, including the Samadha Buddha Pratima, including the maybe the Aukana Pratima, right? You can take the nice photographs from different angles and you can upload it to the N-vivo and you can do the image analysis, right? So there's no particular way. Say again, you want to do a newspaper analysis, right? You can take the newspaper, a web-based, maybe perhaps you can convert it into a PDF or a Word document, you can upload it and do the things. And again, assume that you want some a computer or the user generated content, including the Facebook content, including the TripAdvisor content, and including the Blogspot content. Yes, the N-vivo software is the best solution to you, right? So they are the sources. Number two is the codes. Codes are basically known as the containers of your coding, right? Assume now you have the drawers in your offices, right? Inside the drawers, you have small files. And inside the files, you have maybe papers, maybe letters issued by you, the head of the department or the deans of the faculty, or maybe some outside, maybe something related to the conferences, this and that. So remember, those small papers, the papers you have, they're pieces of information. They're pieces of information. And the files you have are categories, right? And again, remember, your drawer has, your cupboard has 4 drawers, right? And in the first one, you have all the administrative related things, right? And in the second one, you have all the research related things in the second drawer. And the third drawer, you have all the subject things and the examination things, right? And the fourth one, maybe your library, your own books, your printouts, all the blah blahs, right? So you can categorize accordingly and you can put the data into it. So likewise, even in the N-vivo software, we can categorize and we can put the data into the relevant baskets or the codes. And the process of doing that is known as coding. The process of identifying what piece of information going into which code is known as coding. And then we have the cases. Cases are basically your units of analysis or units of observation. And say you're doing a qualitative research and you're going to interview a couple of people, maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe 15. And those interview transcriptions going to be your units of analysis, right? So they are known as cases in the N-vivo software. And again, you're going to do a kind of a comparative analysis, some case studies of how one company is different from the other company, right? How they are, maybe about the organizational culture. So company A is a case, company B is another case, company C is another case, right? So whatever your unit of analysis or your unit of observation is known as a case. Then we come to the memos. You know, when it comes to the qualitative research, it is not only the data that speaks. It is not only the data that speaks, but also the what you feel, your emotions, your feelings are sometimes important. I have done a lot of studies in Jaffna. I have been to some terrific war grounds, former war grounds. I go there late in the evening or early in the morning. I sit down, I close my eyes, and I try to visualize what has happened there, and the screams of the people, and the sounds of the mortars, sounds of all the warships, helicopters, right? Okay, then you get some feelings, your emotions, right? And you can write them down. You can write them down in your field notebook, right? And those emotions and all these things can be converted into memos, right? Which means that you come back home, you open your Word document and you type whatever you feel, whatever you felt. And that can be also used as a source, right? Or your inputs, a research material, right? So these memos can also be included into your software. And assume that you interview some person, maybe in the roadside, or maybe you are going to interview some student, and that student he will say one thing, but he will exhibit some other thing, right? You know, contrasting feelings, expressions, right? So in such cases, you can note down them and relate it to his transcription as well. So that is a kind of a memo. Okay, here we come to the front page of the N-vivo, right? The opening or the welcome screen. Here, actually, there are now I'm using the N-vivo 12.1. I'm using the 12.1, and there's 12.2 as well. I could not purchase it because we are not a very rich country, and with the dollar rate now, the cost has gone up to like 350,000, right? The software itself, right? And so this is the 12.1, not the 12.2. So there are like small options in it, right? Now, first thing is the blank project. If you click this, you can open up a whole new project and start work from the scratch, from the very beginning. And thereafter, if you're not very familiar with the software, you can click on the, say, the sample project, right? You can click on the sample project, and you can, and there's an inbuilt small research project, right? You can look into it and look and say there are transcriptions, there are quotes, there are videos, right? You can check how they have done it, right? It was done by the company itself, the N-vivo. And thereafter, we have the automated insight sample project. If you click this, it will take you through a nice journey, right? To show how the codes have been done, how the categories have been done, how the data have been imported, so on and so forth. Well, I will leave that for you for the take-home assignments, right? Okay, so now I'm going to move into the software to show you this welcome screen, and let's try to create a new project. Right, okay. So this is the project, right? A real project that I'm going to open. I'm going to click on the blank project to open up a new one. Okay, so the first thing, once you click on the blank project, you have to give a title. I'm going to put a kind of a, say, RUSL, right? Research. And the other thing is you have to make sure that you know where you're going to store your data, right? If you're going to work with lots of, research projects, right, you might forget where you're going to save it. So it is important that you click on the browse and find the destination and save where it is. So, okay, I'm going to simply put it here under tourism folder. My tourism folder is saved, right? Okay, and again, you can add a kind of a description.
Okay, let me know if I can help with anything.
And again, you can add a little description here if you really want, right? Maybe introducing your project. Okay, I'm going to skip that part. And I'm going to click OK, RUSL. Now the project is being built. So now it is coming. Right. So here we have opened the software. So this is the welcome. Now this is our workstation, right? Now once you open it, you will see different small messages appearing, welcoming you and showing you, giving you different tips, this and that, right? So it is nice. Okay, you can walk around it, right? And it will be really helpful, especially if you are new to the software. But since I'm here now, I'm going to skip that. Right, so this is going to be our workstation, right? And we are going to load all the data and the sources and trying to do all the works right here. Okay, going back to my presentation. So we removed it. Okay, let's try to review an N-vivo project. Right, so this is the N-vivo workspace of an already completed project. Let's try to identify the different components of our workspace. First, in the top row, you can see the ribbon, right? We call this the ribbon, and ribbon carries all the commands, right, that you need to know and that you really need to perform, right? All the commands are here, the ribbon. And thereafter, we have the navigation view. Navigation view will help you to go through the software. Now here we have the files and the data, classification, notes, all the things are stored here, right? Usually we go through the navigation view first, identify our data, right? And thereafter we go for the ribbon to give the commands of what to do with that data. So that is the navigation view. And the third is a list view, right? Whenever you click any part of the navigation view, this will automatically appear, exhibiting what it contains in the navigation view folder. Say these folders or the data files or the codes or the nodes, right? Once you click it, and here automatically another window will appear. So then you can see what is in there, right? So this is a list view. And thereafter, you can see the detail view. So once you double click on any of these things, say now, these round shapes are known as codes, right? If you double click it, you can get to see what is inside. And again, suppose you go to your literature sources, you click on your sources and you open, you double click on your journal articles, and here you can see it is getting opened. So this is known as a detail view, right? And next, we are going to talk about the data sources, right? Here you can see I have uploaded the Word documents here and the rich text formats, right? Or the RTF files, and books. I have uploaded books, and I have uploaded articles, research articles, right? And the N-capture documents. So N-capture is again a special feature that comes only for the N-vivo. Whenever you have some web-based content to capture, like a blog spots or the newspaper articles or anything, you can use the N-capture to capture it. The speciality is that when you're going to get the information from the websites, it contains a lot of external information, including the advertisements, including the links to some other related news articles, so and so forth, right? So this, the N-capture will help you to eliminate all this unnecessary data and will give you only the article that you were searching for. So that is important and capture. And thereafter here you can see the photos, right? And the audio files is a recording and video files. So these are some of the data that we have, and how to import them to the N-vivo software. You can right click on the free space anywhere, right click, and then you have the import function. Okay, I'm going back to my software to perform that task. Right, okay, here we go. Now we have the N-vivo empty workspace, right? And I'm going to import the data. Let's see, right? The first thing first, you need to right click and you have to click on the import items. Then you should be knowing where you have stored the data. Okay, I have a special folder in cache, and within which I have stored all my data that I use for these mock tests and the demonstrations and the lectures. So I'm going to click on these lecture materials, right? And here I have named them separately for our convenience. First, I have a book here, right? A big book, and I'm going to import it to the software. So remember, before you start your project, you should have all the data at hand, right? You should have all your data sources, your books, your journal articles, right? Sometimes having the transcriptions is also important, right? Okay, I selected the book and I upload it. Then it will come. Okay, they will ask, okay, are you sure whether you need to import? Yes, I'm sure. So I click on the import, and this will take like maybe 2-3 seconds, right? And the N-vivo is again a heavy software, which means it will consume your RAM, your random access memory of the computer. So you please make sure that all other softwares are turned off, right? Or please leave all the space for the N-vivo. So here you can rename it if you really want, right? And you can click on OK. Okay, here we go. I have a book now. Let's try to open it and let's check whether it's working. Here we go. Right, so there's a nice book. And here we go. Okay, it is there. Let's see how many pages we have here. Let's go to the last page. Wow, it's a 400-page book. But it's okay, right? You can upload like 10 400-page books. The software is functioning and it will be running, right? Okay, so we have uploaded a book. Now I'm going to upload, say, I'm going back, maybe interview transcripts. Here I have 11 interview transcripts, and I'm going to select them all, and I'm going to open it and upload it to the software. So it takes time because it has like 11 files. Right, here we go. We have all these 11 files uploaded to the software, and I'm going to import the items again, going back. Okay, here I have some of my literature papers. I'm going to upload them as well. I have like 12 research articles here. I upload them as well. Right, okay. Now see, I have books, I have transcripts, I have journal articles, but there are more to go. I'm going to import, what else we have here? Not then capture. Okay, let's try to get some photos. Okay, I have 3 photos to be uploaded. I select them all and I open it, import. Wow, okay, 1, 2, 3. The images have been imported, and let's try to open one of them. Let's see whether it's working, whether we can see them. Right, okay, it's functioning, it's working. We can leave that behind and we can proceed. Right click, import items again. Now I need to upload a recording, interview recording. I select that and again open it. It's been uploaded now. It will take a couple of seconds. And remember, if you're going to, in the meantime, I will tell you, if you're going to purchase the software. I do not recommend you to purchase the Apple version of it or the Mac version of it. It's not very much user friendly. I mean, some of the functions are missing, right? So always go for the Windows one, because I have both Mac version and the Windows version, and I here I'm using the Windows version, and the Mac version is, to my experience, it is not as handy as the Windows version, right? Okay. Here we go. We uploaded the recording, right? I will share the recording later. I haven't shared the sound, then you cannot hear it. Here I click play. Yeah, it's working. And then I'm going to import a video as well. Okay. It's been uploaded now. Now you can see I have imported different types of data sources into the N-vivo software, right? Let's try to play that as well. Yes. I play that. Right, perfect. It's working. Okay, now here we go. We have lots of data here, data sources, but there's a problem, right? Now we have, okay, now even for our little exercise today, we have like 28 different items, but imagine you are doing a kind of a comprehensive analysis or a bigger research with lots of data. Do you think that you can handle in this format, in this way? No, I don't think so, because it is kind of messy, because your research, your data sources are all over the workstation. So I'm going to create, or I'm going to categorize them according to their own nature, right? So in order to do that, I take my cursor to the files and I right click, and I'm going to create a new folder, which is under the files, and I give a name. Okay, first I want to put the interview transcripts, right? Give the name. I name it the first folder as transcripts. Okay, right? What else we have? And we have the images, and we have the audios, and we have the literature. I'll just put LIT. We have the videos. We also have books. So this process is known as the categorizing of your data sources, right? So you will be able to handle your work as a smart guy, right? Okay, I select the transcripts and I drag and drop. Okay, this is dragging and dropping. I hope you know. I'm going to drop it at the transcripts. Okay, I put them. Now we get a lot of space, and I'm going to select my images, drag and drop into the images, and I'm going to select my video, drag and drop into the image videos, and my audio into the record audios. And I have a book. I'm going to drag and drop it into the books folder, and here we go. Whatever the left, the journal articles will be dragged and dropped into the literature. Okay, here we go. It's all over. Even we can shrink this, we can expand it, shrink it. Okay, done. So we have uploaded all our data. I'm going to expand them one by one. Audios, here we go, the audios. Books, images, literature, transcripts, and the videos. Everything is there. Everything is there. So it is super easy, right? So we know now how to import your data sources into the software. Okay, let's proceed. Right. Then the next thing is, okay, now we know about the importing and the categorizing of your data. We already completed that thing. Right. Okay, now here it is important. whether to follow the inductive reasoning method or the approach or the deductive reasoning approach in qualitative research. Sometimes the researchers are in this prejudice, thinking that the qualitative research should always be inductive. It should follow the inductive method, and the quantitative is said to be the deductive. No, it is wrong. The qualitative research can be either inductive or deductive. The quantitative research can also be either inductive and either deductive. Now, suppose in the qualitative research, if you are going to follow a kind of a well-established kind of a research model, a kind of a concept or a theory, and you want to test the same thing here in the Sri Lankan context, okay, in the undergraduate research, they do that, right? Okay, I'll bring this example of my Beach Boys research, which is available in the Google Scholar. The relationship between the foreign tourists and the beach boys, right, using the host guest theory. And there I was following the inductive approach. So accordingly, I was referring to some of the journal articles which explain the relationship between the beach boys and the tourists. And then I identified some key categories that illustrated, that explains the nature of the relationship between the beach boys and the tourists, right? Then I categorize it in the N-vivo software, and then I can perform my interviews, right, with the light of the literature, previous literature, right? Then I checked, okay, to which extent the Sri Lankan context is similar to the international context or different, right? So in that way, we were following the deductive approach. However, if you're going to do the open coding, right, and then thereafter category development, and thereafter theme development, right, and searching for a particular theme, right, or trying to develop a kind of a theory, that's inductive reasoning. So remember, in qualitative research, even before you are going to touch your software, you need to have a clear approach. Which method am I going to use? Is it inductive or the deductive? Because developing the coding hierarchy will drastically vary according to the data, the type of the research you are going to perform, right? Okay, now I'm coming to the setting up the codes. The codes are basically, they could be hierarchical, which means there could be a parental code, a child code, right, especially in the deductive research. And you can create the code before start reading the sources if you are searching for a particular theme, right? Even in my my Beach Boys research, I was very aware of the relationship between the tourists and the beach boys. So I was able to develop the categories even before reading the transcripts. So that is deductive reasoning. You can do that, right? However, if you're following a kind of a grounded theory approach, right, you need to create the codes as you read your sources. So you have some idea about the research, some idea about the theory, right? But you haven't done the coding yet. So what you do, you immerse into the data, which means that you dive down into the data, you read them, you reread them, and it will twinkle your head. Okay, this could be related to that thing or the other thing, like that. So accordingly, as the data appears, you keep on coding the data. It is the open coding. We don't go for the category development, right? In deductive, yes, we do, but in inductive, if you're following the grounded theory, we're not going for the category development. We just do the open coding, which means just you identify the pieces of information. Just you keep on identifying. And after identifying all the relevant pieces of information, only you can go for the category development. Category development is putting the relevant information into the relevant boxes, into the relevant categories. You just simply group them. Okay. And you can code from your main codes to create more specific codes. We can do that. Okay. Now I'm going to move into the software again to show you how to make the codes. Right, here we go. Right. I go back to the files. So there's nothing in it. And I hope you can see here the nodes, right? In the N-vivo 12.2, you can see the term code instead of nodes, right? But the name doesn't matter. They serve the same purpose. So I click on the codes. So it is really empty here, right? I'm going to take this Beach Boys example because we have uploaded so much of Beach Boys data, right? The creating of the codes are super easy, right? You can right click, simply you can right click and make the codes and give a name. I give the name Beach Boys. You simply enter, right? And since I have read the previous literature, I'm going to make the codes, right, with the memory I have about them. So how am I going to analyze my data? First thing is, okay, basically in any of the research, we start with the demographic facts, right? So I give the name demographics, enter. And then under the demographics, we have age, we have the sex, we have the education, we have the income, etc. That is sufficient, right? And what else am I going to analyze? Okay, the reasons for joining, and maybe the services they provided to the tourists, and make sure keep these names short as much as possible, because now, although you can see only this detail view, once you click on it, it will show you the here you can see only the list view, but when you double click any of them, you will get the detail view, and the detail view will need some space, right? And services provided, and perhaps the challenges facing. Okay, what else? There are marketing efforts and how to catch the tourists, right? Marketing and promote, let's say, right? Okay, here I have done something, I have added something. Now again, okay, it is not hierarchical, is it really? It is not hierarchical. So we can make it hierarchical to show our audience, our readers that, okay, we follow kind of a approach, a method, right? So what to group under what, right? So let's look at the demographics. Now we did the open coding, but under it, now here we can see some open codes that could possibly go under demographics out there in the space, in the open space. So I'm going to drag and drop the age into the demographics. I'm going to drag and drop the education into the demographics. Wait, okay. Income. So it's a little tricky. You have to drag and drop. Okay. And their sex. Oh, come on. Right. And we have the challenges facing, and under the parental now demographics became a parent, because why? It has childs. See, and we can also make the challenges facing a parent by creating childs. Okay, challenges facing maybe the police, because providing the services to the tourists in the beach is illegal if you do not have a license. So most of the beach boys, they don't possess license, right? So the police is always a challenge. Right. Okay. Now see, the police become the child code, and the challenges facing became the parental code, right? And under the challenges, okay, I'm going to rename it because I have missed the L here. Right. I'm going to create another code, and the season, because beach boys' job is kind of seasonal. They mostly get the tourists in between the October to like March, right? And after April, May, June, it's kind of a dead season. And again in the July, yes. So seasonal factors are also a challenge. So it is under that. And how about the marketing and promotion? Okay, the free services sometimes. I'm not going to spend much time on this, right? Simply create it. And just one is sufficient. And the reasons for joining, maybe most of them are saying money, right? And maybe the peer or the influence from others. Right. Services provided. say the round tours. And maybe the shopping, etc., etc. Right. Okay. Now everyone has, every code became a parent, right? Now what is the problem again? Now we haven't organized our codes yet properly, and we need to create a master parent, and that master parent is the Beach Boys, right? So I'm going to drag and drop all these codes into the Beach Boys master parent, right? Now the Beach Boy become the master parent. Oh, come on. Right. Yeah, sometimes this clicking thing, it's not very comfortable. Okay. Right. Okay. Here we go. We have shrinked, we have collapsed everything, and I'm going to expand it for you, right? So this is the this is known as the coding hierarchy, right? And you need to report in your research paper, in your dissertation, your coding hierarchy, right? And under the Beach Boys, we are not going to put any information, right? But under the challenges, how about the parent? No, not yet, right? But under the police, yes. Under the reasons, yes. Always remember the data will go in here. In here, the open codes, right? Not the categories, not the themes. No, right? Here I have expanded it. See how nice it is? Right. Okay. So this is how you make the codes in the the N-vivo workspace, right? Now, okay. Now we know making the codes, right? Okay, this is a kind of a little exercise, but we don't have the time for that. But we have to know what to code. It's $1 million question. We don't know what to code. Number one, if a certain fact is repeating, we need to code. One beach boy is saying, okay, I came to the beach to earn money. The second guy is saying, okay, I came to the beach because I come from a very poor family. The third person was saying, says, okay, my friend bought a motorbike, but I did not have the money to buy the bike, so I wanted to come and earn some money. Okay, so now see the money factor emerges through these three statements. The core of all these three statements are money. So the things are being repeated. Three of them stated it. So if a fact is being repeated, you need to code that. And number two, if some facts surprises you, you need to code, right? Okay, during the data collection, I identified that a boy, right, like 28 or 6 or 8, right, he's married to 3 foreign ladies. My goodness, one from England, the second one from Singapore, third one from Swiss or Netherlands, right? Kind of a very good country, right? It's really surprised me. And even he showed me the photos with all these 3 ladies. Not to mention that he has a local wife too, a Sri Lankan wife too. And Sri Lankan wife is also aware of this situation. And he has 3 houses, right? Like Ramyasuram Suba, right? Made as sponsored by each of these 3 foreign ladies. So, okay, that's a surprising fact. And just, can we quote that? Definitely, yes. Now see the benefits that they have earned, right? By being a beach boy. So if this surprises you, you can, right? And again, and the third thing to code is if they state explicit facts or the statements, they directly say, okay, I'm getting like 15 tourists per season or 50 tourists. I cater like 50 tourists per season. And I'm getting a lot of repeat tourists. I get like 10 repeat tourists annually, right? Some facts, right? And if your findings, or if when you're reading your transcription, if something is similar to a research work you have read before, maybe now when it comes to the Beach Boys, it is not only in Sri Lanka you have the Beach Boys, but in the Caribbean islands you have the Beach Boys, in the Bali's, Indonesia you have the Beach Boys, even certain areas of Thailand, you find the beach boys. So there are many studies, and when you're reading the transcription, you identify that okay, my study is similar to the Bali case. Okay, my study is similar to the Rwanda's, right? Means Africa's, there are a lot of beach boys. Okay, or maybe the Caribbean islands, right? West Indies, the situation is same. So if it ring a bell, you need to quote that part as well. And if it reminds you of a kind of a theory or a concept, you need to do the you need to quote that. Okay, one tourist is saying, okay, saying that one beach boy is saying that, okay, the tourists who were visiting really wanted to go to Jaffna because that tourist thing visiting to Jaffna and the help in those community helps those communities to kind of develop or bounce back, right? So perhaps we can relate it to the reconciliation theories, or again host guest theories, like that. If certain things are kind of related to a kind of a theory or concept, definitely yes, you can be doing the coding. And then we have if it intuits you, sometimes if you're a seasoned researcher, or sometimes if you can visualize the things, if you can forecast the things, if you really get into the research, you will feel okay without having a rational justification. You will feel okay, I need to be coding this, I need to be coding that, right? Because at one point it will come, right? So this is how we do the coding, right? Right. However, when doing the coding, there are few considerations. Number one is your objective. Why do you are doing this research? You are research. And number two, the transcription should be free of errors. So you do the interviews, you come back home, you do the transcribing, you develop like many pages, Word documents, and then you need to look into it. Okay, what have I done? Right? Is this transcription free of errors? It doesn't mean that you're going to distort the meaning according to your preferences. No. There might be some half-finished, incompleted sentences, or the sentences that does not generate any meaning. Perhaps you can remove it, right? Perhaps, right? Not necessarily, perhaps. And also another issue with the qualitative research is that we tend to see what we want to see. Okay, now regarding the Jaffna or the Bellamula Baikal, or maybe the eastern part of the country, you already built up some images. You have some pre-established notions, right? So having that in mind, you're going out to the field and you collect the data and you think you're going to be a successful researcher. No. You have to lock down your own personal arguments for a little bit, right? But you can bring it back when you're doing the analysis, if you are following a kind of an interpretivism approach, right? Later, if you're doing the phenomenological approach, right, then you can bring out your emotions, feeling, but not during the data collection. You have to let your respondents to answer. You have to let your respondents to speak. So we have to be careful with that as well, right? So, and again, when coding your transcripts, you have to use the well-trained coders, which means that the coders should be able to deep dive into the transcription, read it, and do the coding, right? Deep dive, data immersion technique, which means that you read and reread and reread, and thereafter only you get the true meaning of what our respondents are saying. And again, when doing the transcriptions, you need to do the cross-coding to increase the validity and increase the reliability of your analysis method, because the reviewers or your examiners might ask, how do you say this is the perfect coding for this? Because why? If I give like 10 transcripts to Amal, and if I give the same transcripts to Kamal, and I ask them to do the coding according to my objective, but definitely the coding going to be different, right? So we need to have a kind of common agreement about the coding hierarchy, right? And how we are doing the coding. So the cross-coding is important to align your research findings with the objectives, right? Okay. Now we go for the coding. Perfect. Now we are going to do some coding, right? Now we have, okay, now we have this coding hierarchy we already created with the light of the previous literature. And now how we are going to do the coding. Okay. Now I expand my files here where I have saved my transcripts, and I go to my transcripts, right? I open my first interview transcript. I double click and I open it. Here we go, right? And it has a lot of questions and it contains a lot of pages, right? So after opening up your transcript, you need to open your codes, right? Here we go. We already developed it. Now I'm reading the transcript. While reading, you have to do the coding, right? Okay, now first thing is about, okay, age. So I selected it, okay, simply just like you select anything in the web browser or maybe in Word or the PDF, the same way you select it and you can drag and drop into the age. Okay, now from 0 it became 1, right? There are 2 ones. What does that mean? The age code has been contributed by one file and there's only one reference in it, right? And now this is about the family, and family is not really related to it, right? Okay, I will further explain it. And the financial difficulties, okay, something about the something related to the income, okay, for the time being, since we have to do some coding. Okay, here again 1 and 1 because there's only one file, right? And we have done only one reference to the income folder. Education, right? Okay, monthly income of the family, right? We said you can randomly put it here. Okay, now here it came to 2 because why? One file, but still we have done 2 coding under that. And age, education, are you married? How did you come to the job? Okay, here after O levels, blah 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 blah, right? Okay, reasons for joining, okay, influence from peers, my friends were involved, so I just drag and drop it here. I'm just doing it. This is like sample coding. And again, the sometimes people asking, okay, is it can we do like 1 word coding? Can we do like 2 words coding, 1 sentence coding, or 1 paragraph coding? Well, the answer is that there's no hard fast rule and there's no rule of thumb. You can do the 1 word coding provided it generates some meaningful information. If it generates some meaningful information, only you can do the 1 word coding, or perhaps you can go for 2 words coding only under the condition that I mentioned earlier. So you can go for the my personal recommendation is that you go for the phrases like at least like 5 words, 5 to 6 words, right? Then it will give you kind of an idea, right, what you have coded. So this is how we do the coding randomly, right? Okay, so you can go through it, the services provided, I select them all randomly, and I'm going to put it under the round tours, right? And sometimes the people asking, sir, can one particular sentence could be attributed to more than 1 code? Of course, yes, right? Now I simply put this under the round tours and I'm going to put it under shopping as well. It is possible, right? So this is how we do the coding, right? And the repeat tourists, right? This and that, you have a lot of things. And again, there are little other small techniques that we can use here in our transcript. Now, after doing the coding, suppose you have done all the coding with all this 6-page transcription, and still now you cannot see what you have coded, right? So you can enable the highlight option here, all coding option, and here you can see, right? Another code color thing, okay. All the things that you have coded have been highlighted, right? So then you can have an idea, okay, whether I have coded or not, right? And again, we have a small option like coding stripes. If you enable the coding stripes, you can know where you have done the coding, right? Now see, I'm 35 years, have been coded under the age code, okay, age right? And here, something related to the finance, okay, goes under income. And again, the monthly income definitely directly under income, so and so forth. Okay, right. I hope the coding is clear. And there's another way of looking into these codes, like, okay, now we are going back to the transcripts. Now see, we have done 7 codes, and these 7 codes have been 7 references, right? These 7 references have been coded into 6 codes. And these things, that is why they show a big 0. So this is how we do the coding. Okay. And then I'm going to show you the word frequency and the text search queries. Okay, now we are going to use a kind of a little function here in the data set to explore the data, even without reading our transcripts. Now, again, this is not, I cannot recommend this to the new young researchers, right? You need to follow the conventional, traditional way, right? But the software has some cool, that's why I say this is a cool software. The software has some cool features to get some idea about your data without even reading it, So, okay, here we go. I need to go for the text search query or the function, and it enabled me to go for a particular theme. Okay, I get this box on, and I'm going to type something about the Beach Boys. Say, when it comes to the Beach Boy, what type of things comes to your mind? Okay, let's take the money, for example, first, right? And then where you want to see the money, right? In the transcripts, we are going to check whether the Beach Boys are referring to the term money, because why? Money is one of the main motives for them to come to this industry according to the previous literature review. So we are going to compare it really quick. Okay, I set the conditions, I said okay, and then I run the query. Okay, here we go. Beach Boy, almost all of them are, they have said something about money, but we don't know what they have said yet. And okay, let's go to the references. In the references, you can see, right? It'll take like a couple of seconds. I did not have money, neither my parents could spend for me, so I came to the Beach Boy. Okay, perhaps, right? Now here the thing is, all these small references contains like they contains like 8 to 10 words. For me, it is not sufficient, like a muddy, to get a kind of a meaningful interpretation. So I'm going to change the condition here a little bit. I'm going to spread the coding into the narrow context. I select that and I rerun the query. Right? Okay, now I have more data about it for friends and girls, etc. But I did not, okay, I have money, neither my parents could spend for me. We get a little bit of information, more information. But if you feel that this is not sufficient, right, you can go for the broader context. Right, you change the settings and you run the query again. Okay, now you get all the heap of information about the context within which the term money has been used, right? Okay, now these are the phrases that goes into your discussion or your analysis within inverted commas. Inverted commas, so accordingly, we generate our idea, right? Okay, let's try to compare what the Sri Lankan Beach Boys are saying about money and what the international or in international context, what other Beach Boys are saying about the money. So in order to do that, you just have to change the condition, right? Earlier we selected the transcripts. Now I'm going to select the literature, all of them, and I perform it again, run the query. All right, here we go. Okay, let's start with the summary. The people are talking about the money here, even in the first one, second, third, right? I go to the references. Okay, this is the broad context. I move it down to the narrow context. Right. Convince them to provide buy milk powder for the sick children, this and that. Okay, all these different types of things are there. Now, this is a nice way of comparing your study findings with other study findings, right? So if you're searching for a particular theme, particular pattern, or particular information, this text search query will help you. Okay, let's go for the term sex. Okay, let's check. Okay, even without reading the transcription, I want to know whether the Beach Boys are sexually engaged with the foreign tourists, right? I do not change my conditions here, which means that I'm going to change the term sex only in the in my literature, right? I run the query. Let's see the answer. Summary. My goodness, yes, the first paper 120 times they have used. Second one 160 times. Third one 11 times. Fourth one 141 times. Now see, there's a heap of information, right? So, oh, even without reading our articles, we can get an idea. Okay, the Beach Boys are engaged in kind of some sexual related things with the tourists, so we can develop our arguments in our analysis and discussion, right? So that is about the text search query, right? And now I'm moving into the word frequency query. Now the word frequency query is kind of similar to the text search query, but it will generate you the occurrences of the number of words or the type of words that that are used, right, in our transcripts. Not only in the transcripts but also in your literature review. Okay, and again here you have to set some conditions. First one, I need to set the condition. I'm going to select only the literature here, right? Not the literature. Let's go for the transcripts first. I untick the literature. I don't need that. Okay, I get only the transcripts. Okay, now we are not searching for a particular theme, but we are going to search for the information that comes from the transcripts, right? Okay, and now here you can decide whether you need like 1,000 words or 100 words about it. 1,000 is too much, I think. Let's go with 100. And here you have to set the condition to the minimum length or the number of characters you're searching for. Now, say when it comes to most of the prepositions, in, at, on, all the blah blahs, they have like 2 letters. So you don't need that. So we are going to avoid all these things, right? Minimum length is 3. And let's go for the exact match. We are not going to combine different words together, and I'm going to run the query, right? So let's see the result. Okay, here we go. The mostly used word in our transcripts is the tourists, right? And thereafter we have the term beach, and we have the term job, many, also, etc., etc., right? Okay, by looking at this, we can generate a meaning. For example, the term tourist, which means that the Beach Boys are providing some services to the tourists, and the beach is the place where they work, and the job, why the job is here, which means that it's their job, right? And we have years, they have years of experience, maybe, right? So and so forth. Okay, and the another fun feature of the N-vivo is that you can develop a kind of a word cloud diagram out of this word frequency query, right? Here we go, right? We generated the word cloud analysis. So now this will show you, according to the size of the font, the number of occurrences, the frequency of occurrences of each of these terms. Now you have the more the highlighting word here is tourist, number 1. Number 2 is beach, and thereafter you have the many, right? We have the job, etc. Okay, and again, remember that you can simply export this, right? Export the word cloud and download it as a JPEG, right? Or a kind of an image, and later you can embed it into your research paper or your dissertation. And I'm going to simply compare now this word cloud again. So, okay, let's try to save this. So, for the save option, okay, add to project. I add this to the project under word frequency. Okay. I saved it within my queries, under my queries, so we can get it back soon. So I'm going to change the conditions. I'm going to expand. Now, earlier we searched the word patterns used in the transcripts. Now I'm changing it to the literature. I click OK, and I run the query. Okay, my goodness. What do we get here? Number 1 word is sex. Number 2 is tourism. tourists, then we have the sexual, excuse me, men, female, women, etc. Okay, let's get back to the summary. The most occurring word is women. Sorry, the sex. Number 2 is women. Number 3 is tourism, sexual, so on and so forth. So now we can see the highlighting difference between the Sri Lankan beach boys and the foreign beach boys. Okay, our boys are good, right? Our boys are good. So there's not many sex-related words in it, right? That term is not emerging, but it doesn't say they're not engaged. But according to our research, according to our sample, it is not happening. So this is a nice finding. So you can simply discuss it under, you can confidently discuss it under your discussion, right? Okay, word cloud, right? You can also add this to the project if you want, right? No, since I saved one thing, I cannot get back to that. So that is the word frequency results, right? So you can again export this word cloud, save it as a JPEG image, and use it at a later for your analysis purposes, right?
Wait for a moment.
Right. Okay. Now we perform the word frequency query and the text search query functions. And now we are moving into the next segment of our N-vivo, right? Right. Okay. Now I'll say a little bit about the thematic analysis here, right? And what steps you need to follow when you're doing the thematic analysis. And if I will quickly show you how to do the thematic analysis thereafter in the N-vivo. And first here you have the transcripts. This is the transcript, and you read it and you reread it and you reread it, right? So that is the data immersion technique. And you start the level 1 coding, like identifying the key phrases. You cache them all here. And thereafter you can code them. And you can give a kind of a name here, right? Or a related name, not anything that comes to your mind, right? So the related codes can be combined together. You give them a common name, and thereafter the categories can be combined according to their like common facts, right? Or their common themes, right? Or we call it the Mahaprasada kind of a thing. And then you can develop the themes, right? Okay, we did the word cloud, yes, right? Okay. Let's move into the software again, right? Now, again, in the thematic analysis, you can perform it inductively or deductively, right? So when you're doing so, right, you have to keep on adding the data or code the data to here, like open coding. So you will get like hundreds of them. And thereafter, you need to combine them together, right? So that's I will need minimum like 1 hour to explain the thematic analysis process. So I will leave it here, and let's go into the say the we have, okay, really quick, the literature review, right? Okay, now suppose you are going to do the literature analysis, and basically in the literature, what do you search for, right? I'm going to delete these 2 codes. When we are doing the literature review, we first we search for the definitions. And thereafter we have different concepts to discuss. We can introduce these broad categories under which we can introduce small child codes, right? Concepts are there, definitions are there, and thereafter we have we can introduce the theories, right? We can introduce different cases, different countries, different people, different contexts, right? Like that. And thereafter we can maybe the arguments, right? So and so forth, right? So these are some key areas that we discuss during our literature review. Okay, and again, if you have some variables, okay, the models, variables, some key variables. If you can get something from the quantitative research, right? If you have models, right? Everything. So having built this framework, now we are going to open the literature, right? Now all these things are zero. Why is that? Because we haven't done any coding yet. So I open one research paper, right? This is about some research about Bali, which is Indonesia, right? Okay, even before reading it, let's try to perform a text search for it. Let's try to identify whether there are any theories to discuss under this Beach Boys study, whether these our researchers, right? These researchers, these scholars have used any theories in their study. So I'm going to use the word theory here, and I'm going to use the STEM wording, which means like theory or theories. Like it's like you get the same meaning, same answer for the eat and the ate and the eating. So that is like grouping again. We call it the STEM function. And I'm going to select the items. Literature, I take all of them, right? Theory, and I run the query. Okay, there are like a couple of places where they have used the theory, and assume that, imagine now you're doing this, your Beach Boys research, and you do not know which theory to use. Okay, so in that case, you have to, again, you ask from your supervisor, and supervisor is saying, okay, please read the literature, and then it will give you some guidance and some guidelines. So even in that case, you have to, okay, this is the option that you have, this is a solution. You just type the term theory, and then you can refer to the theories which were used by the previous scholars. I go to the references. Let's see the answers. This is theory and practice. Okay, not really relevant to us. This is a kind of a name of a book. Further okay, I think this little phrases will not generate you any meaning. So I'm going to expand my findings into narrow context, and I rerun the query. Right. Let's see whether there are any theories. This is like a book theory. This is like expanding the theory, broaden the theories. Adult distinction in theory and practice prostitution. Theories of sexuality. Okay, here it comes. Right, one theory is there, and something about the grounded theory is also mentioned here. Right, the feminist theory is there. Right, theories of sex work, theories of prostitution and sex work, right? Queer theory, education theory, human behavior theory, right? Okay. Feminist theories are again there, right? Now, see, I hope you get my point, right? If you want to go for a particular theory, right, and you want to identify which theory is used by the previous scholars, you can search the term theory, and then you can code it here, right? Right, okay. And again, say you want to find some definitions regarding your study, right? Let's go for the definitions. Let's see whether there are any definitions used by the previous scholars. Okay. Challenge. Here are some answers, okay? You can go into it and you can read and you can check whether these things are important to you, right? And manually, right? So, so like that, you can do your literature analysis, or you can follow the conventional way. You open your literature sources, right? This thing, and in the meantime, similarly, you can open the codes, right? You can expand it and you read it manually, right? Here I have highlighted certain things, right? You can keep on doing the coding, okay? You put them into the boxes, right? And you keep on adding them. You keep on adding them. Now these are like random coding, right? And then you go for the next article. Now see the 3 codes and 3 references. You have done the coding. Second thing, you keep on, right, putting them into the relevant code, right? Then you will be able to see the relationship between different articles, what they're saying about one common thing, right? So you will be able to generate a meaningful understanding about this coding process. Okay, so that's simply about the literature review. And now I'm going to move into the development of the maps, right? Before moving, development of the maps. Okay, now for the next steps, I opened up an already completed project, the Beach Boys research, the publication of the relationship between the Beach Boys and the foreign tourists using the host guest theory. I'm going to expand my coding hierarchy for you to understand it. Here we can see the main categories: the benefit received, challenges facing, demographics, education, training, future plans, illegal activities, marketing. All these key things are there. And I'm also going to open that particular research article for you. Here we go. Right. All these main categories. What is this? Open the PDF. I'm going to open it using the Microsoft Edge. Right. Now, this is the original article, the exploring the relationship between beach boys and tourists using host guest theory, the case of Bentota. And here you can see I have done the literature. I'll directly go to the coding hierarchy. Here is the coding summary. You can see the motivation to join, the services provided, the repeat tourists, self-marketing, right? Benefits received, unethical and illegal activities, education and training, etc., etc. And all these things were generated through these codes, right? All these codes were put into a kind of a table, right? And remember, you can also export this coding hierarchy. Okay, I'm going to delete this small thing. Right. I can export the code book. I'm going to browse and CAS folder. Okay, codebook Beach Boys. I save it. Let's see what we have exported. Okay, it's been opened. Right. So this is the coding hierarchy. So parental code is there, benefits received, gifts and sponsorships, new sponsorship. Now your task is to change the settings a little bit and make a kind of a descriptive table. And here you can now under benefits received, you can go back to your software, money, you open it. I have done the coding already, and you identify some good some representative codes. Okay. Now, this coding has been done in 2017 or 18. I'm not very happy about the codes because they contain like one word or two words. They're not very good. It's not the right way of doing it. Okay. Driving license. I'm going to open them up. So if you do not find the correct, the sufficient information, you can go for these. You can go for this particular item by right clicking and open the reference source. Okay, here. If I could satisfy a guest, the guest may offer me a new house, a motor vehicle, or a free trip to his country. Right. Okay. So I get it. I copy it, and I put it here under the benefits received. See, so like that, and okay, I put it within the inverted commas. and I give there's a synonym BB1. Okay, like that you can develop your coding hierarchy, your description, right? And there's another way of doing this. And I'm going to close everything here. We can also export we can create the list. I'm going to put it back to the same place where we had on the nodes. Save. I go back in search of it. I open the nodes. Where is it? Yeah. Right. Here we go. Right. And now I'm sure you are getting surprised without being able to see everything in it, but here you can I hope you can see the plus sign. It has been collapsed. Right now we are going to expand it. This is the master, only the master parent you are seeing, and row 2 to row 52, then everything has been hidden. I expand the Beach Boys, and here you can see the main codes, and with the number of files and the number of references. You can further expand the benefits received, gifts and sponsorships. Now this is the coding hierarchy. And remember, you can also report this hierarchy in your research, showing the number of references, codes that you have done in using the N-vivo. So this is very important to show, to increase the reliability of your analysis, right? Okay. Now I go to the to talk a little bit about the audio analysis, right? Okay. Okay, now we are going to do a little bit about the audio analysis. And I hope you remember we imported a lot of like some audio recordings, and I'm going to play it and trying to do some recording. And again, it is important to understand that now this is also not recommended for the amateur researchers, the young researchers, because the audios will not give you the correct and the interpretations of the meanings, because the audio will end up like in 10 minutes time, 15 minutes time, and you think that's it. No, it's not, that's it, right? Especially remember, in qualitative research, you go to the field, you conduct the interview, you audio record it, you come back home, and you need to do the transcribing. The transcribing in the sense you transcribe everything, you type down, you convert it into the words. You convert it into the words, and thereafter you have to use the transcription for your analysis. But you know, down the up in the ladder, right, one day you will find yourself conveniently doing the audio analysis. So this is the option. So again, here remember, before doing the analysis, you have to read, you have to listen to the audio a couple of times, right? So I'm going to quickly do the audio analysis just to show you how we can do the coding with the audio analysis, right? Now, first, I'm going to play the recording, and there are some functions that is going to get activated with the recording on, right? You have to play it to see that. I double click it, and thereafter here in the detail view, you can see some functions in it, right? The first, remember, there's a small icon that you have to click to edit. This is 12.1 version. And again, if you're using 12.2 version, you will find this edit button right here, and you have to tick it. And it will enable you to do the editing and coding, right? And again, remember, you have to look at these small commands here in the ribbon. Here we have the play button, we have the pause and the stop, and thereafter here comes with the tracing or the tracking, right? Suppose you, okay, let's do that. So you have the start selection, you have to finish, you have the finish selection, and you have to insert the row. And let's try to do a little audio analysis. Okay, I'm going to drag this a little further, something here, right? Okay. And as I told you, you have to listen to this recording at least 2 times before doing the analysis. I play it. Okay.
Vision
From
Deutsch
the
oder gut Deutsch? Einfach gut. sehr gut. එතකොට කොයි අවුරුද්ද වගේ දාද?
okay, so I want to ask about the experience and everything, and here I identify, okay, it's like the from the second minute onward, I find, okay, it is important to do the coding. So I start selection from here and I keep on playing.
Einfach gut. sehr gut. එතකොට කොයි අවුරුද්ද වගේ දාද? මමද? ඔව්. මම එනකොට හරියට 81. 81. 81 ඉඳලා 82. එකේ සාමාන්‍ය වෙනකොට 82 ඉඳලා සම්බන්ධ වෙන්නේ මේකේ බෝඩ් මොකද මුලින්ම බෝඩ් ඩ්‍රයිව් කරා. බෝඩ් ඩ්‍රයිවර්. ඊට පස්සේ බෝඩ් ඩ්‍රයිවර් ඊට පස්සේ මම කරා රෝසම් කරේ. ඊට පස්සේ
kind of a sample analysis. I stop here. And first, I hope you remember, I click on the start selection, and now I'm going to click on the finish selection, right? Which means I identified this particular piece of information to be inserted into my analysis. So I identified it. Then we need to insert the row. Once you click on the insert the row, you will get so you will see the time span here, right? You will see the time span here, and here you can type whatever the things, whatever the important things said by your respondent, right? Say, I came to the beach in 1981. Before that, I was working as a waiter in a restaurant. Okay, right? And then you keep on playing, right? So this, during this 23 seconds, this is the important thing I wanted to catch, right? You keep on playing.
Very good. Very good. එතකොට කොයි අවුරුද්ද වගේ දාද? මමද? ඔව්. මම සාමාන්‍ය මේ ඉඳලා ගන්න ගාල්ලා තමයි. ඊට පස්සේ මේ රට ඇතුලේ කන්ට්‍රි සයිඩ් එහෙම යනවා සීගිරි දඹුල්ල ඒවා. ඔව් යනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ ගෙස්ලා අහනවාද කොහොමද ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ
Okay, here the researcher is asking about the round tours provided by the tourists. Okay, I think it is an important area to again track, right? So I get it from the 320. I start selection and I play it. I let it play for a couple of seconds, and thereafter I can record it.
ඇතුලේ කන්ට්‍රි සයිඩ් එහෙම යනවා සීගිරි දඹුල්ල ඒවා. ඔව් යනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ ගෙස්ලා අහනවාද කොහොමද ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ ටුවර්ස් තියෙනවද නැත්නම් ඔයගොල්ලෝම ගිහලාද කියන්නේ? අපි ප්‍රොමෝට් කරනවා අපි ගිහලා.
So I pause it, and I finish selection and I insert it, right? I take the tourists to Sigiriya and Dambulla, right? Like that. And here we have identified the key services provided by them, and then how to do the coding. So I go back to my codes, right? I go back to my codes, and here I select them all, right? And I drag and drop. Right? I drag and drop into wherever that you like, right? The services provided, where is it? Here, right? Under services provided, I have a lot of codes here, right? Just to explain you again, now I opened a kind of a already completed project because the previous one is not sufficient enough because this is a 2-hour session. So I already opened up an already completed project. So here, the services, I'm going to drag and drop tours and excursions. Right? No, not that one. Okay, now I made a mistake by putting a wrong piece of information into a wrong code. So I'm going to put it back. We don't need to have the wrong pieces of information at the wrong place. Is it here now? It is here. I think. That function is also there. It is not the undo, right? It's like you can uncode from this code. Okay, I removed it. I go back to my analysis. This is about the services. Now this is about the tours. I code it here. So like that, you can do the audio analysis. So let's quickly move into the video analysis as well. It is similar to the audio analysis. I double click. Just like the previous step, I click to edit and I play.
My pants because of your driving. I got a hole in my pants.
Selection.
Yeah, I will. I will. And stop
I finish
stop
selection.
insulting me.
I pause it, right, and then I insert the row. Then you have maybe you can get the direct quotations what the about this fight in between the tourist and this particular driver, or else you can explain the situation. The tourists and the jeep driver is arguing with each other over the safari ride fee. Like that, you can do the coding, right? You typed it and then you open your codes, and thereafter you can drag and drop it into any place that you think it should go, right? Say somewhere, other challenges, something. Okay, that's easy. And then we have the photo analysis. I will quickly come to that. Right, okay. Quickly, let's go for the images, and I'm going to double click and open an image, right? Just like the previous steps, you have to click on the edit, right? Let me clear this outer area for you. I'm going to delete all these things, right? And this is Lucky, one of my friends who is a beach boy, and we need to analyze his outer appearance, right? Assuming the analysis also a part of our image analysis is also a part of our research. And here he's holding a photograph album, right, which is used for the marketing and promotions, right? So I select that region, I right click and I insert a row, right? Photo album is used as a marketing tool. Okay, these are our observations. And his dress, I want to code his dress, right? His dress is appropriate to the beach culture. Like that, you keep on identifying the important features here. Actually, there are a lot of things to talk about this particular picture, but due to the time constraints, we are going to limit it here, right? And again, how to do the coding. You go back to your coding hierarchy and you can simply select this thing, right? And you have to identify, okay, we have to put it on, right? The marketing, here we go, the marketing, I expand it, right? Direct conversation, other techniques, okay, parties and the referrals. Okay, these are kind of referrals, right? Because they also having some letters issued by the previous story, so I put it into the referrals like that. Okay, you keep on coding the things. Okay, now we know the audio analysis, video analysis, and finally let's talk a little bit about the maps, right? We have the mind map, project map, and the concept map, and with that I think we can conclude because we have already completed like almost 2 hours. And the mind map, remember, when we are doing a qualitative research project, you can think, you can visualize, you can identify the facts, your main codes and the main themes even before you analyzing it. So whatever comes to your mind can be added to this particular project, right? So after clicking on the mind map, this small box will appear and you have to give the proper names, right? And thereafter you can draw your kind of the mind map, right? Whatever the things comes to your mind, and thereafter you can do the coding. Okay, you can do the coding according to the small boxes that you create. I give the name Beach Boys. Okay, Beach Boys new, let's say. Right, you can have to give a name, Beach Boys, right? And what are we going to code? Now we know something about our Beach Boys research context. and you have to add a child idea here, main child ideas. Okay, demographics, we can remember, and what else? The challenges facing, services provided, and say reasons to join. Similar to the coding hierarchy, you can create some more subcategories here, right? Insert child ideas again, the age, sex, right? Services provided, and round tours, beach tours, etc., and the challenges facing, so on and so forth. And the beautiful thing is that you can convert your beautiful mind map into the codes, right? So you read your research articles, right? You do nothing in the code section. You can read your research articles, then you get the idea, okay, this is how I have to do the coding, right? Now you can convert this hierarchy into codes, but before that, remember, you can color this, you can use different colors to color these things, or you can use the different layouts to change the orientation, right? Now I'm going to create this as a map. Okay, I will give the name Beach Boys Mind Map, MM, then you will be able to recognize it easily, MM. Okay. I'm going to create them as codes, under codes, okay, separately. Right, it has been created now. I shrink it now, see, Beach Boys MM, this is what exactly we created. I expand it. We have the challenges facing, does not have any child. Yes, correct. And we have the demographic. We created 2 children. The 2 children appear here. And thereafter we have the services. And under services, we have the beach boys and the round tours. Okay. It's clear, I suppose. Okay. So this is how we create the mind map. And now you can do the coding here. So it is really and super helpful. And thereafter, I'm going to click on the project map to visualize what we have already done in our project. What is connected with what? Okay. So the project map, Beach Boys, I click it. And here you can identify, okay, I'm going to shrink these things. You can see the relationship between the codes and your data sources even. To get started, click add project item on the ribbon or drag items from the list view. Okay, this is the list view. This is the navigation. I'm going to drag the Beach Boys, the code in here. Okay, just one, but I want to see the child codes. So I click on the Beach Boys. I want to see the associated items. What is there with this particular code? And I click on the show associated items in the ribbon. And it has 12 children. I'm going to drag and drop the 12 children here. Right? We need more space. I'm going to, okay, drag it a little bit here. Right? Okay. Now it will show you all the children of the Beach Boys, and the orientation is not very friendly. It is not very clear. So I'm going to change it a little bit. Okay. See? Remember, all these models, diagrams can be produced, can be exported as JPEG images, and you can use it in your research or in your dissertation. And again, you can use the models like this. Okay, nice, wonderful. And suppose, and you need to further expand it, right? You need to see the show associated items of the reasons for joining. Okay, it has more children. I'm going to take them in here as well, right? Number of tourists handled in a season. Let's see. Okay, it has no child codes, illegal activities. It has 2 children, right? Okay, like that. You can keep on expanding this thing, and you can also take all the codes in here to show the relationship between the codes and the to show the relationship between the cases and the codes. I drag and drop. Okay, here we go. So all these codes are related, all these cases are related to the codes here, all these things. So you can see the relationships, right? I'm going to change it, right? Okay, it's not very helpful because that is too much for you to, I mean, to use in a kind of a to use in to use as a JPEG or as a graph to illustrate or exhibit your findings, but you can have a kind of a little fun, right, after dragging these cases into it. But it is okay that if you have a kind of a small model and some a limited number of cases, observations, right, you can add them here and there and generate a kind of a meaning, right? So we know about the project map. Yeah, right. Okay, the other things are there we have the comparative cluster analysis, network sociograms, and other things. And well, we need more time to cover all these areas, right? Right. Okay. Now we know about the project map, mind map, and the concept map. So this is all we can discuss today about the N-vivo software and what it is capable of doing. So starting again, we began with the introduction to the N-vivo software, why we have to use it and how we are using it, right? And under what context, and the importance of the qualitative research and what to code and what type of data sources we are using. And then we spoke about generating of the coding hierarchies, right? And the nodes and how to code the things, right? And the sources of data, right? And then we discuss about the audio analysis, video analysis, image analysis, right? And literature review. We discussed a little bit about the literature review as well, right? And finally, we came to the concept maps, right? And the project maps and the mind maps. So this is all I can just share with you, just the introduction to the N-vivo software. So remember, this is a very nice and this is a super nice and a very convenient software to all of us, and we can use it for our to advancement of the theory, right, or advancement of the practice, and to increase the reliabilities and the validities, and thereby contributing to the body of knowledge, right? So thank you very much, everyone, for your kind attention, and I'm available in the Faculty of Management Studies, Fajarati University of Sri Lanka, for any further clarifications. Right. And have a nice day, and have a nice day in the qualitative journey.